Okay, everybody, welcome back to One Degree. Me and my brother, Reedy, we're trying to move the needle of mankind 1 degree. That's our mission. And we are in a very, very cool series right now. This is part two of a 10-part series of breaking down the esoteric meaning of the Ten Commandments. Last week, we talked about the first commandment, um, that you should put no other God before me. And now we are about to get down to some nitty gritty in the second commandment. So, my brother, Reedy, what's happening, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing, bro?
Fantastic,
I'm
immaculate.
ex I'm excited because I've read through it and tried to make sense of it, but I need your expertise here, man. I'm stuck in my old church teachings, I guess.
All right, brother. Well, hey, let's just get into it, man. If you don't mind, would you read Exodus 20, verses 4 through 6? This is the second commandment.
Yeah, I got you, bro. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
Woo! Yes, sir. Now, this is probably one of the most misunderstood commandments that out of all the Ten Commandments. I'm not saying it's probably one of the most powerful ones too, but it's definitely the most misunderstood. So I'm just gonna get into it.
Yeah,
So, in order to understand this fully, I have to break it down into two sections. So, in the first section, what you have to understand is that the Bible was not meant to be taken literal. It was meant to as a book on consciousness. And I think the biggest problem people having when they read things like that is that they can't separate it from being a literal thing. So in my research, one of the scriptures that I came across that made this clear to me when I first started realizing that the Bible was a book on consciousness was 2 Corinthians 3 verses 6. And it says, who shall who also hath made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the spirit. For the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Now, what that means is on the first part, when it says, who also hath made us able ministers, it meant that we are now at a level that we can understand. And then it says, not of the letter. That means not literal. Don't take this word for word, but of the spirit, which means there's hidden meanings in it. You got to take it for the essence of it, for the letter killeth, meaning if you take it for word, you're going to be misled, but the spirit giveth life, that means you will have full understanding. Then and also in Psalms 78 verses 2, it says, I will open my mouth in a parable, I will utter dark sayings. That's basically saying the Bible is written in parables.
yeah,
Don't take this as a history book. That is what that means. Now, with that being said, the commandments, the spirit, what the literal part of the commandments were meant for the uninitiated, but they did have meaning. But the inner part, the esoteric part, was meant for the initiated who knew how to look underneath. So the commandments are basically universal laws. The first law, the first commandment is the law of mentalism. God in us, and we are in God. This commandment is the law of correspondence, and the natural law of correspondence is that which is within reflects that which is without, and that with is without represents that which is within. That's the law of correspondence, and that's what this commandment is basically talking about.
Hmm.
So the first part where it says, there shall have any graven images or likenesses or anything in heaven or above, it literally in the exoteric meaning, like now we don't worship statues and we're
Right.
kind of past that. But back then, when this was written, you had the Egyptians who had all their statues of Horus and Ra and all of these things, and they worshiped all of these literal statues. You had the Greeks who worshiped Zeus and Athena and Poseidon and all of those things. They had the temples and all this other stuff. People would like walk down the street and pick up a stick and carve it and worship. Even in the Bible, it says that they made the golden calf. So on the exoteric realm, that is literal. Like you shouldn't worship these things, but we're past that
Right.
now. Now we don't worship necessarily physical graven images, but we still worship graven images. And like a lot of people, like they worship their sickness. Oh man, I got the gout. Man, I got the arthritis. The arthritis be kicking me and blah blah blah. You are giving that power. Man, I got
Hmm.
diverticulitis, this and that. You're worshiping that disease, and you're giving that disease power. You are worshiping the without. Some people worship the stars. Some people won't. They wake up every morning and they won't start their day unless they read their horoscope. Or I'm a Leo, so I act like this. Or I'm a Scorpio, so I'm incompatible with this person and all that. They worship the stars. That's a graven image to them. And then some people like, the real religious people, I'm saved and you're going to hell and I'm right and you're wrong and you're a sinner, knowing that behind closed doors, you're just as bad as anybody else. But, but when you give all of these things power, the external power, those are all graven images. Any person, place, circumstance, or event that you give ultimate power to is a graven image. That's what that means. Now, it's not meaning that you can't appreciate those things. You can't appreciate a beautiful sunset. You can't appreciate your loved ones. You can't respect the fine piece of art or traveling and all those things. That's not what it means. It means when you pedestalize that, some people, when they so set up in their sickness, they wouldn't probably even know what to do if they were healed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the first part of that. It means anything that you give power to outside of the internal, then you are going against divine law. You are going against what the law of correspondence says, because the internal reflects the external, not, and the external represents what's in. But when you give power to without the within, then you are breaking divine law. So this is what the first half is talking about, Jay. It's saying don't give power to the external, to your pastor, to your church, to your money, to your sickness, to your job, all of those things. That's what the first part means.
Okay. Um, you were saying about the sickness, people almost worshiping that. Definitely, if they almost it almost becomes part of their identity. You know what I mean? Like it's part of me, and that makes sense when you use that as an example of the sickness thing, because like the law of attraction, if where your focus is, it comes back to you. You accept that as who you are, and
Yep.
that's what you'll be.
And
Yeah, it's
there's
good.
nothing in reality that's true other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. So when you take
Right.
those beliefs on, you make the laws of your universe, but you have to live by those laws too.
Right.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Well,
I,
that's why I
I
said like it has double meaning. Yes, it's talking about literal graven images, but it's the subtleties of it too. It's the spirit. It's not the written word of it. So,
Right.
definitely people have to go deeper in their studies to get what these mean. And when you get what that, then you can apply it to yourself. You can catch yourself like, dude, I'm giving too much focus on this. Like I got to back up a little bit. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I definitely see that in my own life. Uh, just changing my way of thinking, being positive, just being positive
Yeah.
and focusing on all the good. Because there's always bad around you, but if you're focused on that, that's what's gonna continue to be around
Right.
you. And if you focus on the good, because it's there too. Sometimes it's hard to see it, you know, dealing with your car broke
Yeah.
down or other issues. My dad's dealing with death. He just lost a nephew. One of his best friends just passed, all within the last couple of days. And I think that comes with getting older. He's 71, so
Mm,
you outlive a lot of the people that you know. You got to deal with death.
right.
But
And this is the thing is that people have a misconception about like God as far as emotions. Well, what you got to understand is that God is only one emotion. God is only love. Any lower emotion than that is, especially the lower ones like, jealousy, hate, anger, strife, all that stuff is a misinterpretation of love. So like even when these people pedestalize their religions and say that you're a sinner, you're going to hell and all that other stuff, God doesn't judge.
mhm,
God just is love. And it's us who turn from God. God doesn't turn from us.
right,
We're the prodigal sons that left home. And he's just sitting there waiting, like, when you come back, I'm here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But
So, man, we're going to go down to the second part. This is the nitty gritty, Jay. The second part is, um, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. All right. So, first thing we got to understand with this is that the Old Testament is Genesis, Exodus, those scriptures are roughly 4,000 years old. They're about 4,000 years old. And it wasn't until 325 AD when Constantine, a Roman emperor, convened the Council of Nicaea to put the Bible in order in the way that we know it of as today. And even in that council, they did that. He did that because he wanted to centralize religion. And so they had met and said, okay, we're going to add this, we're going to get rid of that, this, that, and the third. And there's a lot of books that were left out. And
mm,
those are the apocryphal books. And we were talking about this before, like the Egyptian Bible has all of the books that were left out still in it. And I've read a lot of those, and there's some really good stuff in there. Like there's
yeah,
the Book of Mary, and Lord forbid a woman have a book in the Bible, so they definitely had to boot her out.
yeah,
So her book is fantastic. And then there's the Book of Thomas, like there's a quote in one of his books that says that Jesus said that if you are looking for God in the sky, then the birds are closer. And if you're looking for God beneath, then the fish are closer than you. For God
yeah.
is not above or below, for God is within you. And yeah, just things like that were left out of the Bible. So we have to understand that. We also have to understand that the King James version that we all kind of read right now was was done in about 1604 AD. It was translated for the first time in about 1604 AD. Now, the problem with that is that Webster's says that every year there's about 1,000 to 4,000 new words added to the dictionary every year.
Wow.
So when they translated this, some words didn't translate word for word.
Mm,
So they had to use the best word that they could find that was available to them at the time. So some words didn't translate word for word. So for one of these words is the word jealous. They didn't have the correct um, vocabulary to properly translate this word, and this word actually translates as reflective. It doesn't translate as jealous. It translates as reflective. So it's not saying, to say that God is jealous is to say that God lacks something. God cannot lack anything. To be jealous, to be envious, to be all of those lower level emotions means lack. God cannot lack anything. So people feel a need to make God into an anthropomorphic type being having emotions like you and I. And that's just not
Right,
true. God
right.
just has one
I,
emotion.
I don't understand why Christians don't question that more,
I,
the
I
jealous
don't.
thing.
I don't.
I mean, obviously, jealous isn't a good
No.
emotion to have. Why would we put that on God or think that
Right.
a
So
merciful,
So
all-loving
instead of
God?
jealousy, the word that they were looking for is reflective. And so it's saying that God is a reflective God. That means that whatever energy you give to God, me, then you're going to reflect that same, God, the power in you is going to reflect that back into your outer world. So let me give you an example to break this down. Back when I was in high school, Jay, I never from ninth grade all the way through high school, I never had a girlfriend. I was focused on basketball. Basketball was my girlfriend. And I didn't want to have a girlfriend because I felt like if I gave her time, I'm taking time away from my real girlfriend, which is basketball. And basketball was a jealous girlfriend. Whatever I gave to her, she gave back to me. And what I didn't give to her, she didn't give to me. So I knew that if I shot 100 free throws every day in the game, most likely I'm going to make those free throws.
100%.
So me and my Uncle Ted, man, we used to run every Saturday and Sunday morning in the forest. Winter, didn't matter if it was frozen out there, didn't matter. We was out in that forest running up and down hills through frozen little lakes and all this other stuff. And when we get done, my Uncle Ted would always tell me, he would say, Akashik, he said, when you in the game and you kicking their ass, don't feel bad because ain't none of them out here doing this. So what I gave to basketball was reflective and it gave it back to me. That's what the word jealousy. If you focus on the internal, it will reflect and give it back to you. Now, it says it will visit the iniquities on the children to the third and fourth degree. The children represents the results. So because I gave basketball all of this time and focus and energy, the children, the brainchild of that was I started, I averaged 18 points a game. I was captain on the team. I was very, very smart. I knew my basketball IQ was higher than most. That was the children of me dedicating my time to basketball. And then the children's children of that was at the end of the season, I made all conference. I made honorable mention all Southwest District. I got a scholarship. That is the children and
That makes
children
sense.
and
That makes
children.
sense.
It's what the results come. So when you don't focus on the internal and you only focus on the external, the children of that is going to be bad. It's going to be false. It's not going to make sense. And then when you focus back on the inside, God gives you mercy because God is not judging you. God is not going to condemn you to hell. When you turn your focus back inward, then you give your energy to God, then the law of correspondence, what's internal will reflect external. Now, doesn't that make way more sense
Yeah,
than
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, with I mean, being punished for the sins of your father seems
silly?
crazy to a God that loves us all. You know what I mean?
Silly.
You're gonna punish me because my dad's an asshole, and then
So
my kids
that's what that
because of him.
means. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what that means,
which makes
jealous
way more
God.
sense. Which makes way more sense. That's that's why I said I think last video we did. Now that my way of thinking has changed, the Bible makes way more sense now. Like before, so many questions, but growing up in the church, you were taught not to question. You know, you
Right.
believed. by faith. God's ways are above ours. You won't understand. Well, what you're telling me doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? But we follow it blindly.
Like I said in 2 Corinthians 3:6, when you if you listen to the letter, you're doomed. When you listen to the spirit, you'll get life. The spirit
Right.
of jealousy means reflective. It means reflective. 2 Corinthians 9:6. 2 Corinthians 9:6. It says, "But this I say, he which sows sparingly will reap sparingly. He who sows bountifully will reap bountifully." Correspondence.
Yeah.
This is the law.
Yeah.
The first law was the law of mentalism. This second law is the law of correspondence, Jay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, if it's hard not to try to read it literally as you're reading it, although it seems crazy to read a lot of the Bible literally. We've always done it uh, for whatever
So,
reason. I think I told you last time that my mom was a big part of the reason that I didn't question it because to me she was the best example I had of how to be and how to live. So, and I think that happens to most Christians.
Jay, just think about it like this. If a lie is told over and over and over again, it becomes the truth.
Yeah,
And then when you pass that truth on from generation to generation, it becomes the culture.
yeah.
So this is just our culture.
Hmm.
We're taught that this is right. This is true. Like you said, don't question. Because people didn't understand what they were preaching, they pass it on to their kids, they pass it on to their kids, they pass it on to us. I passed it on to my kids before I knew
I
better.
did too. I did too. I did too, man. Raised them in church and in youth groups and going to events with the church and as much as I could have them in it, which wasn't bad. I mean, it kept them out of trouble and it keeps you from doing certain things. It makes you think about getting in trouble and the bad things that come from that. At least it keeps them out of certain things, I guess, which is good. But
Yeah.
man, the real lesson that we should be learning from the Bible is so much more important than any of that. And I mean, if your focus is on love and God and oneness, I mean, you're not going to do those things. You're going to be one with nature and with everyone and everything,
Just
which
think
is
about this. If we knew the real meaning of these 10 commandments when we were in our teens or 20s, what could we have done with that?
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And that's, like we talk. This is the main reason why we're doing this is that we want to hopefully reach, people to get their minds to start thinking. And if we could just turn it to where everybody
Yeah,
shifts from, you know, all this negative stuff and have some positive stuff, then, mission complete. And that's what
right,
we're trying to
right.
do. And like I said, when you break down this second commandment in that way, it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah. The children thing was throwing me. I was wondering where that was going to, and it makes sense that, you, whatever, I don't know, you said it as though like you practice in basketball, you got good at basketball. Those are that birth from the work that you put in. And that makes sense. That makes sense that
And you have
that's
like
how
people
they,
like create businesses and they say, this is the brainchild of Elon
yes,
Musk.
yes,
That's the
yeah, same
children.
thing,
That's
same thing.
what comes from that, the
Yeah.
manifestation. And then the
Mhm.
children's children to each degree means that if you're not righteous, you're unaligned, the production of that is going to continue to be bad. No
Right.
punishment. You,
Hmm.
and then you're just out of alignment.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind blowing, man. I
I told you the second one was going to be deep.
Yeah. Well, and I knew that, and I know just as all of the Bible as it starts to make sense to me, and it 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 like I said, it all just goes together now. All of it finally resonates with me. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know truth, and if you think of all the things that you're taught in the Bible, not necessarily the Old Testament, but with Jesus, he said all these same things. You know what I mean? Just what you're saying, we just missed it. You know what I mean? We weren't listening.
Well, and this is why the Bible had to be written in an allegory because they didn't have people, the common people, and even the prophets didn't have the vocabulary to describe some of these things. So,
Right.
so instead of um, because they lacked the vocabulary, they had to put the essence in it, the spirit of it.
Hmm.
And so until you understand the spirit, the meaning, the inner meaning of these words and excuse me, these stories and these texts, you're gonna think that you're doomed.
Yeah. 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 Because, and that's how I always felt like, man, I slip up all the time and sin according to the Bible, or at least what I'm taught in church, not the Bible, but like who can who can do this? I mean, I'm not Jesus. At least it's the way I felt. I'm like, so it almost felt like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I
Sin
mean? I
actually is an archer's term. It means to miss the mark.
missed the mark.
That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And we done turned
Yeah.
it into something where, man, you're gonna be burning some lake of fire and all this other.
Yeah. And you're dealing with the guilt all the time and just negative feelings about yourself, which that's where your focus is. That's what you're going to see. You know what I mean? That's what's going to come back to you. I think the faith part of it is so like Jesus said, he that when he prays believes he can have whatever he prays for. Like if you
Yep.
believe it when you pray, that doesn't mean ask over and over again. That means believe it. It's done. Just
That's
the
the
way he
law of
spoke.
being.
Yeah, the same way he spoke. Peace be
Right.
still. He didn't ask it to happen. He said, "Stop. I'm in charge." You know what I mean? And it's hard. I don't know. I don't know.
All right,
It's,
Jay. Well, we're gonna close it up. And I hope you got something out of this one. And I hope
absolutely,
that the
man.
people got something out of this one. Hopefully I made
Absolutely.
sense. Hopefully my analogies
No, they
gave
were
some clarity.
absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
so the
It,
next
it,
one, next episode, we're gonna be hitting another one. I believe it's thou shall not use the Lord thy God's name in vain.
yes,
And of course, there's some esoteric meaning behind that too.
yes.
So until we meet again, my brother, and all you people out there, we'll see you on the next episode.